Welcome to the stream, my people. Welcome to the stream. It's been a beautiful Sunday evening in East Coast of Africa. I think we are becoming we are past the is it cold season or rainy season. It's becoming a little bit warmer here in Mombasa. But yeah, welcome to the stream. Today talking about entrepreneurship. We're talking about entrepreneurship and job security. So I came across this article. It's an old article, actually. I think it was in 2020, but it was really. I think I've posted it in the comments. So for those who are waiting for welcome red mode music, for those who are waiting for those who are curious, you can read it on your own in the Swahili Nation comments right there. I posted it. So we're talking about it. Let's see how interesting this article is, because I personally the spirit of entrepreneurship is strong within me. I'm somebody who like when I'm employed, when you're employed and you have ideas, and I have a lot of ideas, and I have a lot of things to say or things to add. Then you're told, nah, stick to your lane. Then I'm like, oh, my reflex is screw you. I'm going to start my own business and put my own ideas onto play. So I know I'm not alone. There are guys like me all over the place, whose the spirit of entrepreneurship is strong within. And let's talk about it, because especially in Africa, Africa is a very entrepreneurial place. I think Africa is ranked one of the most innovative, if not I think it is the most innovative continent. And I think Uganda is the top. I think the most innovative country in Africa is Uganda, actually. So yeah, there's a lot of entrepreneurship over there. A lot of people are small business owners, and it was a huge deal. Guys who followed the Kenyan election, the hustler narrative, the hustler won, right? The William Ruto, he was pushing the entrepreneurship narrative actually in his campaigns, and he won. So a lot of people are pro entrepreneurship in Africa. That's what I can say. So let's talk about it. Let's see this article here about how actually entrepreneurship, there are those who think, oh, office job is better because of job security, and apparently that's not true. In fact, especially this time when we've been dealing with a lot of economic waves, the war of Ukraine, the that virus over there, a lot of economic shocks have been happening to Africa, to the whole world in the last maybe 3 years, maybe five. I don't know, but yeah, it's been crazy. So who really has had job security? So this article tends to say that, you know what? The people who have been the most job secure are the entrepreneurs, the small business owners, the micro businesses. Those are the ones who have been job secure. The rest of us, we have been expendable, And yeah, so let's see. Let's read this article slowly. It's a 9-minute read, so yeah. In a prolonged crisis, formal establishment workers are more exposed to job losses and financial insecurity. Yeah, oh yeah, not just job losses, financial insecurity too. The Juakali economy, this is just the informal economy, may sound, it may sound, office jobs always sound lucrative, right? They sound secure, but when you look at it, the Juakali, the people who are, informal sector, the small business owners, all those guys, it may not give the aesthetic, aesthetically, the office guy, you wear your suit, you got your suit, go to your suit to job, so maybe you feel like aesthetically you look better. But in the end of the day, nah, that's not the case. The guy on the wheelbarrow, the guy who's selling you is it fast food? Street food, that guy, chances are that guy is probably more financially secure than the guy who's buying it and going to the office, according to studies in Africa. This is a title. So let's see what happened. A worried friend of mine called me in a situation he observed in his neighborhood, somewhere in this is uptown Nairobi, Kileleshwa. The part-time house helps who had worked in the neighborhood are now jobless. Their clients are at home and they can do their own domestic chores, and also limit contact with outsiders in keeping. Yeah, so during during that the that are we still using code words to describe that virus, or it's now not a big issue? I don't know, but yeah, during that virus thing, guys were social distancing, you know, stay at home and all that. So the people, the maids or the house workers, or what do we call them? Housekeepers, housekeeping, house cleaning, all those guys. They were not going to a job. They found themselves out of a job because people were already at home and they could do the housekeeping themselves, right? So the desperate ladies are now congregating at the roadside, perhaps hoping to catch the eye of a passing client to lend a helping hand. On the onset of the COVID-19 crisis, some influential voices in the West, like Bill Gates, that guy, Bill Gates and oh my God, United Nations Security Council. I don't like these guys, man. Notably expressed concerns for Africa, called on the world to prepare to stay, oh, called to the world to prepare the unimaginable. Oh yeah, basically, you know how they thought that COVID was going to destroy Africa, right? They thought that this. What was the pass? Not the password, the code name for it. I don't know what guys call it. It's been a while since, but yeah, COVID. Let me just say it like it is. I'm not talking about it anyway. It's just a situation. But guys thought that Africans were about to, die in the masses because of that virus, and and that wasn't really the case, right? And they thought that UK and US, and in fact there's this index called the Global Health Security Index. It talks about how people who are prepared for a pandemic, how can they handle it? And they ranked the US and the UK as the highest and the most prepared to handle a pandemic in the world. I've actually gone to the website. They still do rank UK and the US as the highest. It hasn't changed since 2019. And as I write, the Anglo-Saxons transatlantic allies account for 35% of confirmed cases and 40%. Basically, I think this is just something we all know that guys, they all had a terrible time with the virus. Really took a lot of, especially Italy. And then I think even a huge death toll. Now I think they're talking about monkeypox. I don't know how that's going to do it, but it's become the new trend. But I fear that to many well-to-do Kenyans, I occasionally chide that upper deck people, basically the dusty middle class. The upper deck. This is the nickname Kenyans give the mediocre middle class, called the upper deck people, have a similar blind spot, namely projecting the crisis onto those who are less privileged than themselves, wanting to believe that as long as they are properly social distancing and working remotely, they are insulated from the crisis, and the charitably predisposed can do whatever they are able to do to extend helping hand to the less privileges. Like, indeed, when I proposed a lifeline fund to cushion, now this guy, the guy who wrote this article, is actually the economic advisor to the current president-elect. He's the chief economic advisor to the current president-elect, William Ruto, the guy who just got in. He's the chief. He wrote this article in 2019. He's the chief now, economic advisor. So probably he will be the chief economic advisor to the next Kenyan government. So you're going to be seeing him a lot if you are in Kenya and you're going to follow Kenya. David Ndii. You're probably going to be seeing a lot of him because he's probably going to be in charge of the economic destiny of Kenya probably in the next 5 years. So yeah, I fear. So this is what he was writing. He's also a writer. So where was it? Where was I? Yeah. Basically, the middle class, the mediocre middle class, looking at the lower classes, looking down like, oh, how will they survive? So when he proposed actually a stimulation fund, just like the US, he proposed a stimulation fund or a lifeline fund to Kenya. to cushion businesses and jobs, you know. And one of the most common reaction was, how will it help Mama Mboga? Basically, the vegetable woman, or the street vendor. It was lost to these people that the street vendor will continue to be in business and might in fact benefit from the switch from eating out to eating at home. Not a single person engaged with me on the issue came across worried for themselves. Basically, the mediocre middle class. So the mediocre middle class thought, oh, we don't need a stimulation fund for us. We are job secure. I mean, I know how it's like it's you think they thought it was for the street vendors, the micro businesses, the entrepreneurs. But those guys who have, office jobs, they thought, nah, 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 nah. Maybe it's expensive. There was not really a lot of there was kind of, how do I say it? There was kind of, is it resistance or indifference? They indifferent. They thought it was not for them, the middle class. So here is where the bubble burst. That in fact this stimulation fund is not actually for the street vendors that you look down upon as poor, that you look down upon as dusties. You see them on the street because they're not wearing a suit, they're selling vegetables. You look down on upon you say, "Oh, that you're wearing a suit, so you're job secure." Nah. Said, nah, you are the one who is job insecure. That's what he was trying to say. And he has the evidence to prove it. And this is hindsight now. It's actually true. It's been proved that it is true. So, yeah, in this column, I will endeavor to put some numbers to the COVID-19 economic shock. I will start with the structure of the expenditure of the economy, which we also refer to in economics as aggregate demand. It consists of private consumption. Okay, let me just put it here. So here is a private consumption, private investment, government consumption, government investment, and exports. So this is aggregate demand. Basically, for those who did macroeconomics, you can understand this. But basically, I think in America they call it, what do they call it? Is it consumption? I think they still call it demand, right? They still call it demand, aggregate demand. The demand is high. Yeah. So let's talk about private consumption. In these are food accounts for the third of the private, or food accounts for third of the private consumption. So that will survive. Basically, the mamambogas, or the people who are selling vegetables on the street, they're not going to be affected by the lockdowns, or social distancing. They're not going to be affected. People are going to eat. People are still going to eat. So the street vendor who's selling food, that one is safe. Their job is safe. They're not going to be affected that much. Probably benefit, although not the restaurant business. Okay, yeah, because restaurants in the in the US, restaurants account for 60% of the job lost so far. Over and above food, most people are only spending money on essential household items. The leisure economy, tourism, and sports notably is out for the count. Basically, when people were staying at home, people weren't spending on leisure. Private investments. Of the five components, investment is the most sensitive to uncertainty. Some businesses will complete projects that are underway if they are able, but new capital projects will be put on hold. Best case scenario, 75 contraction. Okay, he was just predicting at that time how these sectors will contract or will shrink. So yeah, exports, horticulture. Basically, Kenya is the second. Kenya actually, I think Kenya is one of the highest exporters of flowers in Africa. I think, yeah, probably globally too, earning $1.2 billion per year, accounting to 20% of all exports. This industry will be disrupted the East African Community and COMESA. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So basically, East African Community, we are very specialized in exporting flowers. So it will all contract by what, 50%? So yeah, it's common government consumption. This aggregate consists of primarily recurrent operations and maintenance. Basically, no disruption because the government will continue to spend. Government investment, best case scenario, 25% disruption. So this disruption add up to 35% of demand, basically, which I estimate to translate to, this is roughly $3 billion a month. The next question is how long? Again, the best case scenario for the pandemic appears to be another 2 to 3 months before the global curve flattens. Yeah, basically 6 months. It lasted 2 years though. Maybe one, yeah, since 2020, yeah, 2 years. Good 2 years of this thing. So you can just tell. In this situation is unfolding the world over 16 million people, 10% of the US workforce have lost their jobs in less than a month. All these are just studies, and yeah. Last week, the Canadian government recalled Parliament to pass a 73 billion emergency wage subsidy bill. Basically, the American government, the Western governments, all issued stimulus checks. And he was saying that he was still hopeful that he will dodge the pandemic bullet. Or if it does hit, it will not be cataclysmic. But the economic consequences are inescapable. As this column has observed, the epidemiological and economic dynamics of the pandemic have decoupled. The economy is being ravaged by our self-preservation instinct. The economy thrives on venturesome behavior, the willingness to trade risks for reward. But seldom is this trade-off a life and death issue. Although to be sure, some people, gangster, yeah, he's talking about how it's a very interesting theory. He's putting that the economy thrives on those people who take risks. It's true. Basically, how yeah, it's basically the risk takers that that make our economy expand. Basically, entrepreneurs. A contraction of this scale will shed a lot of jobs, cities and towns. Nairobi in particular will be the most badly hit. And in another month, a quarter of Nairobi metropolitan area population, about 1.5 million people, may not have a penny to their name. Even the daily survival budget of 50 shillings out of 75 million a day, out to 75 million a day. It is doubtful that the private charity can sustain this for a week. We are talking months. Basically, people are waiting for Red Cross or all these charity organizations. Maybe they say these guys don't have the amount of funds to sustain a whole country for even a week. In a prolonged crisis, formal establishment workers are more exposed to job losses and financial insecurity than those in the micro and small you see, now here's where the point is of the whole article. The point of the whole article comes through. In a prolonged crisis, the formal establishment of workers are more exposed to job losses and financial insecurity than those in the micro and small. So formal workers, if you work in an office, if you work basically in a formal environment or employed in a formal sector, if there is an economic crisis, you are probably likely to be, you're likely to take a hit, basically. For and it's not even just pandemic or Ukraine. Even when the economy is just doing not so well, and companies have to give layoffs, it's the formal worker that takes the hit, right? Although they give you a suit and make you feel like you're okay, and but no, the formal worker is you're the one who's going to be the sacrificial so that the company can survive. So, but the entrepreneur, the guy who sells vegetables on the street, the mechanic, maybe I don't know about the mechanic, but yeah, the mechanic, the guys who just the small and micro businesses, they have a lot more job security. You know, they may look, like the mechanic, maybe from the work you can see his overall coat is covered with the oil, and then it doesn't look good. And, you may feel like because you're wearing a suit, you are, better, but no, he has more job security than the formal worker. In fact, in Kenya, we say in Nairobi, there's a place called Jivanji Gardens. I don't know if for those who have been to Nairobi, Jivanji Gardens is full of lawyers. They say it's full of lawyers wearing suits, sleeping under trees, waiting for work or something. At the moment, that's the recurring joke in Kenya at the moment. That Jivanji Gardens is like a small park in the city center of Nairobi, where so you find that it's full of lawyers wearing suits, but just sitting under trees waiting for work. So that's what he's trying to say. Let's continue. In a prolonged crisis, formal establishment workers are more exposed to job. I think I've already said this. But micro and small enterprise, MSMEs, Jua Kali as we call it, many enterprises engage what's up? Engage in on-account workers. For instance, hairdressers, mechanics, carpenters who work for themselves and pay a portion to the business owners, basically. When business is down, people work fewer hours and earn less, but no one is laid off since they are not on a payroll in the first place. So it's like it's like there's this, I don't know, there's this saying, there's this tree, I think I've seen it even in Asia, I've seen it in Africa, this type of saying where when the wind is blowing and the tree that it thinks is the thing, the hardwood tree and the softwood tree that is flexible, like the palm trees. Palm trees, how they, when the wind blows, they also bend with the wind. And the hardwood trees like the mugumo tree or the oak or baobab, I don't know, like Muarubaini. I don't know these names in English, but these trees that are hard. When the wind blows, they may think they get toppled over, but the tree that is flexible, that bends with the wind, it may be bending a little bit, but they'll survive the storm. That's the same with businesses. Like if there is an economic storm, small and micro businesses, they tend, yes, they probably maybe earn less, maybe they will contract a bit, but nobody gets fired because you're not on a payroll. You might be earning less, but you're not getting fired because you're not on a payroll. But those who are in a payroll, they get fired, when the economy is bad. I think that was his point. So when business, yeah, we would characterize the Jua Kali. Jua Kali means hot sun. Hot sun, hot sun is just Jua Kali. Those guys who work under the hot sun in Kenya, we call them Jua Kali because the industries that work on, informal, they're not formal, they don't have like, they're not formalized, they're informal businesses, like street vendors, guys who, I don't know if mechanics go under that, maybe mechanics, maybe, Joakali, basically hot sun people work under the hot sun, are a flexible wage economy, while the corporate sector are a rigid wage economy. In economics, wage rigidity or flexibility is a very big deal. If wages are flexible, as just like prices of goods, earnings will rise in boom time and decline in downtime. The problem with the contract wage economy is that workers get pay rises when the economy is doing well, but won't take pay cuts when the economy is not doing well. When there is doing, it's a very interesting perspective. As you can see, yeah, basically when the economy is doing well, the workers they will take a pay rise, right? But when the economy is not doing well, they don't take pay cuts. So what happens then? They get fired. They get laid off, not fired, laid off. They get retrenched. They because they can't take pay cuts. in the current contract wage economy. So the only way businesses can reduce costs is when the business is low, they lay off some workers. Yeah, the dual economy is better cushioned because they share the work available and get lower income instead of earning a lot and others earning nothing. Wait, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Moreover, these flexible arrangements and volatile incomes, many of these workers are diversified. That is, they seldom depend on one income stream. As counterintuitive as it may sound, the job insecure Juakali workers are the more economically secure. So you might see them as job insecure, but economically, they are much more secure economically than the guy who works in corporate. There's also the supply side now. He's talking about the supply side. The market economy is integrated and complex autonomous. Is an integrated, complex, autonomous system whose working we take for granted. The entire edifice is built on the entire edifice is built on and operated on by only impulses, self-interest, price signals, and the impulse that Adam Smith the impulse that Adam Smith famously named the invisible hand. Yes, yeah, you know that. But Mundatesi also named it the hidden hand. The invisible hand, aka hidden hand, is the trader who aggregates livestock, takes it to the market, returning home with groceries and other supplies for his customers deep in Masai land. Okay, let me see if I can understand. Let's see if you can make sense of this statement. The invisible hand is the trader that aggregates livestock, takes it to the market, returning home with groceries and other supplies for his customers deep in Masai land. The markets are now closed. It is the much maligned middleman in that Sukuma Wiki laden jalopy that appears out of nowhere in foggy Kinugi. It is rough. It is tough enough turning a profit in normal times, let alone one that is being shaken down and beaten down by police every time. Okay, what do I mean this? What does he mean by this? What does he mean? Hmm. Okay, now let's see if you can continue and you can make sense. Maybe if you continue. To paraphrase Smith, it is not from the benevolence of the farmer or the trader that we expect our dinner. Oh, but okay, now I get it now. I get it. So what he's saying is when a farmer goes to the market and sells his livestock, then he buys food, right? For his people for people deep in Masai land or deep in the rural areas, basically. That's what he's saying. He's not doing it for his own interest. You know, he's not doing it. You see, when a farmer sells so that he can buy my, it's a long con here, though. It's like you sell your livestock, buy supplies, then go to the rural area and sell those supplies for a profit. Okay. But he's saying that that guy is not doing it because he loves to help people. And this is something I also say when we discuss food security here in Swahili Nation, that guys talk about, oh, no, 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 we need farmers to continue to produce more food. Farmers don't produce food for free. Like something we should always understand. Farmers don't produce food for free. Like when we talk about food security, like we need farmers to produce food security in Africa. We need farmers. It's an economic issue. It's not a farming issue. It's an economic issue. If a farmer gets paid well, sees that, oh, this is food is is profitable to how to farm more food, it's going to do it. But if it's not profitable, it's not going to happen. That's why when we were talking, I think in Tanzania's show actually, which is on Saturdays on Swahili Nation, I think around 11 a.m. East African time. I don't know what time it is on the other side of the world, but I think that was 2 weeks ago when talking about food security. My view was that if you want to help people who are in places where there is a little bit of food insecurity, the government need to just give them unemployment checks. Because when you give them unemployment checks, then they have money to buy food. Then farmers are more motivated because, oh yeah, if we sell them food, we'll get profit. So that's the invisible hand that Adam Smith was referring to, and I think also David D and Mongetezi were also referring to. To paraphrase Smith, it is not that the benevolent. It's not of the benevolence. Benevolent. Hey, English came by Melly. English came by what was it? Yeah, Melly is ship. English came by ship to my country, so we are going to butcher a lot of these words. It is not from the benevolence of the farmer or trader that we expect our dinner, but from their regard to their own self-interest. People are doing things, people in the market are doing, people in the economy basically are all doing things in their own self-interest. And when you appreciate this, you can start to make economic decisions, or when you want to solve problems in the economy or problems in your country. When you appreciate the fact that people do things for self-interest, you tend to get more realistic policies. You tend to have much more realistic policies, that you probably will make sense to everybody. Even as you can see, even in the Kenyan election, it made sense to the voters. So yeah, let's continue. Once they can't turn a profit, the dinner will simply not appear without notice. Yeah, it's basically the farmer is not providing you with the dinner. Food on your table is not coming because people like you and they want to help you eat. No, it's because if it does not make a profit, then in your table there will not be any food. If the farmer is not making profit, then there will not be food in your table, and it will go without notice. There will be no notice. You just very interesting way to phrase it. Only then will we know the social distanced online work cannot actually feed us. Food delivery apps notwithstanding, a critical piece of equipment for medical supplies has broken down, but the maintenance company has shut shop. The fundis have dispersed upcountry. Spare parts are stuck in Dubai. It will take a week or at least to get the operation. Basically saying that the day by day, the coronavirus ravages the economy just as it's ravaging people. Basically, he's saying that, and this is actually a global debate that people should go back to the office. He's saying, and he's actually agreeing that, yeah, the economy doesn't move if you guys are in the office, are working from home. Basically, the economy requires people to go to the office. Like a lot of things, online work is not sustainable for the economy, according to David D. Uh, Looks like things are about to change in my country. It's interesting to know the chief advisor to the president-elect. It's good to know what he thinks about his views about economics. So gives you a good idea of what the next administration is going to focus on. Canadian economist Amine called COVID-19 shock a completely different economics. We are on to something else entirely. And the sooner Canada's decision makers and news shapers recognize that the contours of this new landscape, the sooner we will be able to make sense of the world on the other side. The sooner decision makers recognize the contours of this new landscape. She couldn't have put it better. Earlier this week in African Union, the African Union appointed some eminent person to mobilize resources. As I write, Africa has lost 790 people, 0.7% of the fatalities. Oh yeah, yeah, basically the people who died from the pandemic is basically 0.7 of the global fatalities in Africa. Basically, we have, while Europe and North America have lost over, this is early figures, but now it's in the millions. So yeah, it's not just the economies that are devastated, societies are traumatized. We are going to beg from shell-shocked people who are hanging by the skin of their teeth just how helpless and insensitive. Now he's criticizing the African Union for being beggars, and I have to say this is true. You saw, this thing of the chair of the African Union. I don't know his name, but I think he's the president of Senegal. When he went to Russia to beg for food, the country, Russia and Ukraine, countries are at war. The country is at war, you know. And how entitled countries are at war. Their economies are taking hits from sanctions left, right, and center, and you still go there entitled talking about give me food. Oh my God. It's sometimes I don't know what goes on in the mind of African leaders. It's just like, woo, mediocre, dusty. As a friend from Kaisorian Empire will tell us all the time. I actually have to agree with this because why? How entitled? Like how? It's just entitlement. Entitled. I don't know. It's just you so used to aid that you can't do anything. You can't do anything. I hope it doesn't. I don't know. I hope the people of Senegal make a different decision next time. Punish him for having this begging mentality. I think all leaders that in Africa that have this begging mentality, that that the fact that you're going to countries that even in coronavirus times, during the pandemic, like this guy is saying, countries that are shell shocked, having experiencing extreme numbers of infection and fatalities. There you are going to beg for money. Oh my God, it's a good point. So hopefully, so I'm actually a bit proud, a bit maybe this administration in Kenya, if this is the type of thinking he continues to have as the economic advisor to the president-elect, maybe we might have a very interesting administration in this time in Kenya. Who knows? Who knows? So yeah, let's continue. The most dismal prognosis of the other side that I have come across has been put forward by the financial economic professor John H. C., who characterizes the coronavirus as a negative permanent technology shock. Technology shocks in economics are transformational innovations, such as steam technology, basically the industrial revolutions, the internal combustion, the microchip, etc. Technological shocks have long impulses. For example, from the telegraph to the internet, from the horseback, I don't know, Wright brothers to flying. They have basically they have huge, long impacts to society towards the future. A permanent negative technology. Ooh, interesting point. That we know about the positive technological shocks. Basically, the ones that new innovations like microchips, like the Wright brothers and inventing the plane. The steamship is from going from wooden ships to steam ships. All these things are positive economic shocks, but we also have negative economic shocks, negative technological shocks. So this and what negative technological shock is, I think they're talking about the pandemic, is that long-term productivity slowdown, and I think we're looking at a recession right now in the global recession as we talk. And this guy predicted it in 2019. This is 2019, right? I think so. 2020 article. I think this is 2020. Just saw it coming. That long-term productivity slowdowns and a great leap backwards. Yeah, basically, if you like. My own sense is that the coronavirus will accelerate a post-industrial world that will indeed have elements of going back to basics. How much, how might this other side look alike? Look like, okay, this article became deep than I thought. Let's go. As the economy convulses, many of the lower income urban workers who are at any rate temporary migrants will go back home as they do not as they do during economic downturns. Basically economic migrants tend to go home if there is a bad economy or bad political chaos or something like that. Many will not come back. Over time, self-reliance and resilience will replace preoccupation with getting ahead in the rat race. Interesting thing here. Is this what triggers the return to Africa movement? I don't know. People prioritizing self-reliance and resilience than getting a development of silver bullets such as rapid industrialization, mega structures, growth will lose their allure, health and nature will matter more. People will be content with life on the slow lane. In this back to the future world, it is the farmers, the fundis, basic and the social workers. Fundi is it the handyman? Is it like the repairman, the handyman? Yeah. And the social workers, teachers, healers, artists who will be in the element, and the managerial layers of paper pushers, bureaucrats, and brokers who will struggle to find footing and purpose. Interesting. The state society relationship will also be up for critical examination. So far, the national government's heavy handed law and order approach to health crisis is colonial DNA and has ensured that it has not wasted a single opportunity that it has been afforded by the pandemic to aggravate and further alienate its citizens. The only people we've seen from the only people who have oh yeah, it's about Kenyan politics. Basically, yeah, it's just about let me spare you guys the talk about Kenyan politics. I'm more okay. It's just about Kenyan politics, but he's just blaming all the politicians. But yeah, with every passing day, the presence of the Singaporean Foreign Minister Vivian Balakrishan's assertion that the coronavirus will test and mercilessly expose the shortcomings of every country's health system, governance standards, social capital is affirmed. I don't know. So 2 years passed now. It's been 2 years since then. And I don't know, it feels like, I don't know, are people more self-reliant? Are people more, or has the rat race continued? I don't know, it's a very interesting thing. He predicted that the rat race will stop. People will be more self-reliant. People will go back to basics. Is that the case now? Or I don't know, are we going back? I feel like maybe people are going back to the rat race. But also I see a lot of entrepreneurship in Africa. I see a lot of people, in fact, a lot of people in Kenya. Let me speak for Kenya. A lot of people are quitting jobs to start entrepreneurship. I see a lot of people doing that. I see a lot of, I don't know, the worker people. I think he's right. I think people are going back to basics, and people have realized that it's the micro entrepreneur, the SMEs, the Juakali worker, those are the most economically flexible jobs that we have so far. So yeah, I think we're in the end of the article. It basically says only time will tell. Yeah, it's David D. It's a comment section here. Yeah, this is the guy. Watch his name. He might be the Minister of Finance or something in the next administration in Kenya. So yeah, I think we're done. So So I'll drop the link while we could take a commercial break. Then if anybody has something to say, we'll say, or maybe we'll just close out. Say adios. It's a good night. It's a warm night here. So yeah. What are these things?
What's up, Swahili Nations people? My name is Patrick, and this is Tech Corner. So today we are going to talk about how hackers are targeting your phone through Bluetooth. Just remember to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification button, like our videos, and also remember, this is Tech Corner. Bluetooth is an amazingly useful wireless technology built into almost smartphone, tablet and laptop. We can use it to transfer files, play audio wirelessly, collect health data from wearable trackers and more. But like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth is being targeted by hackers as a way to break into your device and steal personal data. So you can ask yourself, how does Bluetooth hacking work? But you don't have to do that because I'm here to tell you. So hackers use specialized software which is automatically detects nearby devices equipped with Bluetooth. They can also see which networks your device has previously connected to. So this is important because your phone treats this network as trusted and will connect to them automatically in the future. If the cyber criminals can replicate a trusted network, they can trick your device into connecting to Wi-Fi and Bluetooth devices that they control. You get that? The hackers can then bombard your device with malware. They can spy on you, even steal your data from your text messages and different apps you have on your computer or your phone. So once a smartphone has been compromised, the hacker can intercept or redirect phone calls, send or receive files, or simply watch what you are doing in real time. So this action of hacking people through Bluetooth is called blue bagging. It is often performed in public places, often where there are a lot of routine commuters. Choosing a busy place allows them to remain undetected and to monitor the same devices which pass by regularly. Hackers may also choose places where people linger for several hours, like cafes, pubs and restaurants. So what can you do to keep your phone and your privacy safe? First, disable Bluetooth on your devices whenever it is not in use. Second, disable file sharing services that rely on Bluetooth like AirDrop or Fast Share unless you are sending or receiving files from a trusted friend. Finally, ensure you have an anti-malware app installed on your smartphone or tablet or Bluetooth enabled computers. In the event that a hacker does try to break into your device, the anti-malware app will detect and block suspicious activities, protecting your privacy and your personal data. Bluebagging attacks are not very common, but it could quickly change. Take action to protect yourself today. This
Yeah, so guys, we are also having a fundraiser here. For those guys who are not aware, for those who are new, or for those who are just forgotten, we are having a fundraiser in Swahili Nation. One Africa Funding is the. Let me post the GoFundMe on the link on the comment section. Just for those who may have forgotten, looking to contribute. We're trying to get 25,000 euros. So far, we are in 36666. So yeah, the aim right now is 4,000 for those who want us to get for those who want us to reach 4,000 euros. You can easily contribute to the link on the comment section, and let's have a good night. For those in East Africa, for those in West Africa, maybe yeah, it's still at night. Basically, for those who are having it's a morning, good morning. For those who are having a good evening or having their lunch break, enjoy your lunch as we close out. Let's listen to the words of Mika, the fundraiser. So,
the world that we are living right now, there's so much lies, and we're living lies. Sometimes, even when you speak the truth, people, they're not interested in the truth. People, they don't pay attention to the truth. They don't want to hear it. But what is truth? What is truth? Is truth, is it what you read from the books? For example, if you want to know about Africa, is it what you read on the book? Things that different people, they write, right? Their opinion about Africa? Or is it something that somebody tells you about yourself, that this is the truth? This is who you are. For me, at least for me, the truth for me is that still small voice inside of me. Like when the whole world is telling you that this is impossible, achieving one Africa in our generation is impossible. We have been struggling for that for like 60 years and we still don't have unity in Africa. It is impossible. There are still, like, there's still small voice inside of me that tells me that it's possible to achieve that. When the world is telling you that, you know what, you cannot do this. I mean, you're African, you cannot make it, especially outside of Africa, because you're black, you cannot make it. There's still small voice inside of me that is telling me that you can do. That is truth for me. And each one of us, we have that instinct inside of us. Regardless of what the world tells you, regardless of what has been written in the books, because everybody, everything you see is opinion of people. They did their own research, they discovered some stuff and they wrote it. That means you can find your own truth as well. And it's inside of us, that voice. And if you never heard that voice, then I think you can do whatever you want to do, whether it's meditation, whether it's research, whether it's going to school, and find the truth at the end of the day, because the truth will be there. The world we're living in today and the system of this world, it was never created for black people or for Africans. This system, as they were creating it, like Africa, you and me, we were outside of the picture. That's why today, you African, you can go anywhere around the world and still feel like it's not your home, still feel like you're isolated, exploited, you're not belonging there because it's not your system. Our ancestors, when they were taken a long time ago during slavery and brought there, they were brought there not to have a good life. No, they were brought there to work for white men, to develop them. Today, you have a lot of countries out there that are developed because of the blood, sweat, and tears of a black man. That's how it was created. So it's true, today we're fighting for the rights outside of Africa, but I'm afraid that we might not be able to see that. And I'm being optimistic when I say this, because unless that system change, we cannot see that change, because it was never created for you at the first place. But sadly, not only outside of Africa, when you come inside of Africa, we are still struggling with the same system. And today I'm going to share with you some of the lies that we have believed for so long time about Africa and about ourselves, but it's all about the propaganda of changing the narratives and the beliefs about Africa so that we may never succeed. And I'm not going to point fingers at anyone. In fact, I always point fingers at us as Africans. The lie began from the very beginning of time, right? And I can ask you one question right now. What does history tell you about Africa? Who discovered Africa? If you write right now on Google who discovered Africa, you find out that it's one white man that he came and discovered Africa. And you can ask yourself that how can you discover a place that already exists? How can you discover a place that people already live in that place? It is impossible, but that's what the history tells us. That's what people believe about Africa, that it was discovered by a white man. This guy, he came, and then he went back, he gave a report, and then the next we know is colonialism, because those guys, they sat somewhere to divide Africa like a piece of cake, because they discovered it, they own it, it belonged to them. But that is us. We discovered, we're the first people to know. And today you have a lot of people around the world that they think that Africa was discovered by them. So they divided us, right? Divide the continent and give each other some pieces. When you go to Angola, Angola was part of Congo Kingdom, guys. It was not even called Angola, it was Angola. Angola, it means the kingdom. That's the meaning of Angola. Even the capital city of Angola, they say it's Luanda right now, but it used to be called Luanda. But you know, those white men, when they came, again, guys, I'm not anti-West. Don't get me wrong. But again, when those colonizers came, what they did, this is what they say. They say, if you read in the history, they'll tell you that they were not able to pronounce Angola. It is impossible. Like, you are smart, you study, you're civilized, that's how you see yourself, and you cannot pronounce the word Angola. So it changed to Angola. Luanda, it changed to Luanda. And so many other different places. If you type right now on Google, who discovered, the first person to discover Victoria Falls is a white man. David Livingstone, he's the one who discovered Victoria Falls. But the people of Batonga, they used to name that place Mosi Oatunya, the smoke that thunders. That's the original name of Victoria Falls. But today, everybody will say, we call it Victoria Falls. And we say that David Livingstone discovered that. And we still praise the name of the Queen Victoria. The same thing to the Lake Victoria. We call it Lake Victoria. But that lake, it had its original name the way before that guy came and discovered that. These are lies. Not only that, even the word Africa. Do you know who discovered the word Africa? You know who named our continent? It's a white man. It was not Africa. I told you that the Congo Kingdom was bigger kingdom all the way to Angola. Let me call Angola. All the way to Angola. And then they divided it. People, like right now, if you see African map, there is part of Angola is inside Congo. Do you know that? Not only that, they use another way to teach different language. So people in Angola, they started to learn how to speak what? Portuguese. And people from Congo, they started to learn how to speak Belgium. Why? They were united, they were strong, but they had to divide them by teaching them different language so that they may not appreciate their culture, they may not be grateful with who they are, they may not embrace their identity and learn another identity. They were not done, they didn't stop there. Oh, they took some of our people. They found some people who, like Africans who were like strong like me, handsome like me. They took them and they took them away of the continent. Skillful Africans. These days we call like brain drain, right? They took them away because they wanted to develop themselves. And today, when you look at African, everybody out there think that Africa, they have low IQ. Who is the founder of IQ anyways? Africans, they're poor. Africans, they need support. Africans cannot survive without us being there, because from the first place, we went there, we discovered them, we taught them, we helped them to develop. Today, we're even happy when you look at South Africa, the way it developed, and we are happy about that. That, hey, look at this. But you can see what is going on in South Africa there. The division that is in that country, our brothers and sisters. It's outrageous. So the lies begin all the way from the beginning to divide us, to change us, and to change our history. Today, Africans, we are struggling with identity. We're struggling with division. We look at each other differently because of our tribes, because of our color, because of our nationality, because of our languages. And we're still struggling with that. We don't think we're one people. We don't think we're one family because of someone else who had its own interest to divide and to conquer Africa. And it's still happening today. We ask ourselves every single day, why Africa is poor? Africa is poor because we don't have our identity anymore, because somebody else named our identity. And the big person to blame there is us Africans, who allowed that to happen back then and who are still allowing it to happen even today. I was asking myself, if we know how much unity means to Africa, we know that unity is power. You cannot know the meaning of power, and you cannot know the true meaning of power if you don't have unity. If you don't have unity, you don't have power. Africans, we don't know the meaning of power because we don't have unity. I'm telling you guys, power is not in the military. It's not in that. It's not about that. It's about the unity. And we'll never get to know the meaning of power if we are not united. And leaders and everybody in Africa knows that the only thing that can change Africa is unity and oneness. But we don't pursue it. But we are not ready to do it. Why is that? Because we have been comfortable for so long, living divided, losing our identity, and we are not ready to put on the work to find our true identity from the beginning, the true history of Africa even before colonization. Know who we really are as Africans. This is what I say all the time, that Africa is a big family with 55 different children. These 55 different children, they don't have same behaviors. They don't have the same, they don't look alike. Sometimes they don't even speak the same language. It depends where they grew up. But we are family. Why 55? Because 54, they're countries inside Africa, and that one country is diaspora. Africans all around the world, and they're our family. Because Africa is not just a place, but Africa is people. Me and you, we are Africa. The world is telling you this, that there's developing country, there's developed country. That's what they say. I never seen Africans say that. Who said that? White man. He said that. Oh, you guys, Africa, you are a developing country. Oh, us, we are a developed country. Let me ask you a question. Developed country means you got yourself figured out. But why all the time, constantly, you're looking forward and you try to exploit Africa to develop yourself? If you're developed, you don't need to develop yourself. You're a developed country. You got yourself figured out. And we are the ones that are developing. And yet, you exploit us. The truth is, we are all developing country, guys. The reason why there's this lie, so that you may look down on yourself. You may look down on yourself and believe that you need help, you need support, you need loans, you need aids, and you always beg to that because you want to develop. You are still not developed. What is the true meaning of developing? What is the meaning of that? And today, the system of this world was never created for Africans, and yet we still try to develop according to the Western standard. That development is having tall buildings, like long buildings and all this stuff. It's not about that. What about community? What about where people live? What about food? What about infrastructure? Do we really need tall and long building while our people are dying in Africa because of hunger? Why don't we invest that money into food? Why don't we empower our farmers so that they can produce more and Africa will never struggle with food? Today we have to ask for food from outside to come to, like the World Food Organization, they have to support Africa for that. It's shame on Africa and shame on us. Africa is a continent that can sustain itself without depending anyone, without relying on anyone for 100, even 1,000 years, because Africa is the only continent that has everything, like name it, everything we have it in Africa. Is the richest continent in the world. We cannot be free until we're in charge and we are in control of our own narratives, of our own medias, of our own economy. The reason why we're still poor because our economy is controlled by the Westerners. You can never be free if your economy is controlled. The reason why the media never talks positively about Africa because it's not African media. They have their own agenda. Just like I told you, all these lies about Africa, they have their own agenda. They will never talk positively about Africa. We want to transform and change Africa, and we cannot change Africa if we do not change. Yes, we're talking about the biggest problem we have in Africa is unemployment, but I want you to change that word problem to opportunity. For me, I don't see anything as a problem, it's an opportunity. Unemployment is an opportunity for you to discover, for you to do something to create jobs in Africa. Because in the age today, it's not about sitting and waiting for government to employ you, but you stepping outside, see the problem. One of my friends once said, you have to fall in love with the problem, because once you fall in love with the problem, you do research, you search about it, and you try to do something about it. And eventually you bring that change that Africa needs. If I want to change anything surrounding me, then I have to change from inside out. And I'll be able to bring that change that Africa needs. And youth, we're the leaders of today, we're leaders of tomorrow. We always hear that. And we have that in our hands. It's an opportunity for us to bring that change. Thank you so much.